welcome back. Wade recently moved into my island. He actually took Tia's place as an autofill, so today we are redoing his house. I probably could have just left the exterior as is and only given him a door plate. I'm going for a slightly different theme with my new island layout, but I decided that if I really want to redo it again in the future, it doesn't really matter. All it would mean is that I would owe Nook 9,000 bells. For some reason, it took me a really long time to choose a roof color. I don't know why. I was also debating on whether or not to use the fish door plate, but in a different swatch, or go for the snowflake one. I chose the snowflake one because I want all my villager door plates to be unique, and Punchy already has the fish door plate on his house. Nintendo really only gave Wade a bunch of fish, a couple of pieces of ice furniture, and a couple of small shell accents, and said, "Have a nice life." In my opinion, I think they did the penguin houses pretty well for the most part. I mean, the majority of them do have some sort of wintry, frozen wall or floor, or the iceberg flooring or something like that, or even like the ski slope wall inside their house. And some of them have the frozen furniture, but their houses are really barren. I did embrace the frozen items though. I never really use them unless I'm redoing a penguin house or a happy home house, or occasionally I will put some of the items outside, such as the pillar, the frozen tree sculpture, the bear sculpture, maybe occasionally the chair. Definitely I use the 3-tiered snow person a lot outside on my island. I don't put one in here though. Maybe I could have. I thought about it after the fact, but I don't think there would have been any room for him anywhere. I do love that little tabletop snowman sculpture. I think that's cute. The partition is also pretty useful, as is the arch, at least for outside furniture. And then we got the frozen fence as well, though we can't use fences indoors. Honestly, I never really realized that until recently. I don't think we've ever been able to use fences inside in any Animal Crossing game. I don't really know why anyone would want to use a fence indoors in this game though. I mean, we're pretty limited by the grid since fences can't be placed on half tiles. But on the other hand, we are pretty lacking in the partition department. The frozen one came in handy pretty well in this case. I do end up removing it later on though, because I need that extra half tile to fit in some furniture. I did not end up making a mood board for Wade's house as I did for Olivia's. I really embraced the frozen furniture and the fish. I went for a very fishy aesthetic here. I do end up putting back some fish in his house. I don't think they're any of the same ones that he had in there originally, and I didn't go back and check Wikipedia or anywhere else to figure out which ones he originally had. The main point is they're fish, and I wanted to bring that back in as an homage to his original layout. Full transparency, this is my second time doing his house. The first time I did it, I forgot to unpause my recording. I had started the recording, I hit pause to go into camera mode and take a picture of the original house for the thumbnail, and then I just went on my merry way and started building, forgetting to unpause. It was a very sad and frustrating time. In the end, we did get there though, and I wasn't really sure what to put on his walls. I really like the white birch of the log furniture, and I wanted to bring that in. I think that adds a nice contrast along with the shell furniture in comparison with the icy blues of everything else, and I tried to add more pops of colors in the walls and the smaller accent pieces that I put around everywhere. Another thing I struggled with was finding good lighting. There wasn't really a lot of space for table lamps or floor lamps, and some of the wall lamps looked kind of funky on that particular ice wall because of the way that it is with the arches, so I tried to find a good ceiling lamp. The festival lantern set looked really cozy and I tried it out, but I wasn't really a big fan, so I end up going for the Moroccan light. I really like that one, and I've used it in other builds as well, but in this case it kind of reminded me of big chunks of ice dripping down from the ceiling. And in a way, the spiral chandelier has that effect too, I guess, but it looked a little too fancy for what I was going for. Same with the cooktop and crafting table. I already knew in my head, even before I started building this, that I wanted to use the clay furnace. I feel like it fits the best with the aesthetic, and the simple DIY workbench does the same thing as well because it looks like a giant tree trunk. I really wanted to embrace all of the fish details, and I could have sworn that that pennant had a fish swatch on it, but I went for the souvenir looking one because in my mind it matches the fishing banner that's on the other wall. I mean, they both have the yellow fringe around it and they both kind of have the same color palette, so in my mind they match. I like to think that Wade loves fishing and he loves caring for his fish, and he's won awards for his fish, which is why I have that gold fish plaque from the museum up on the wall. And for the food that's on his table, I did ultimately end up going with the clam chowder. I thought that that would add to the cozy element that I was really trying hard to emulate here. It's a little bit difficult difficult with the ice everywhere. It kind of looks cold and sterile, but he could eat that chowder and feel nice and warm. Man, I would give anything for some New England clam chowder right now. Really struggled trying to find some good fish to put out here, and I realized now after the fact that the Napoleon fish can only be caught during the summer, so the only fish that's in his house that's in season currently at the time of me recording and building this is the sea butterfly. This is about the time that I realize I can't have that frozen partition there because I want to move the fountain, and with the house being 6 by 6 and the fountain annoyingly being 1.5 by 1.5 tiles, the partition ended up taking half a tile more than I had, so it needed to go. I did delete the fish tank that's on top of the giant Napoleon fish one. I don't really like how the tanks look stacked, and I don't think that they're supposed to be stacked anyway. I mean, I know realistically you can do that, but I don't know how good it is for the fish in there. I wanted to put a couple of log stools out because the frozen table was not giving me the table space that I needed, and we don't really have a whole lot of frozen furniture. You can't build a whole house with the frozen furniture. It would be nice if they gave us a stool or even a little end table or something instead of just having the one chair and the one table and a few other miscellaneous pieces. In the next Animal Crossing, I want a frozen dining chair. The frozen armchair is fine, that can stay, but in addition to that, I want a frozen dining chair that does not have arms on it. Also, a light, like a little tiny lamp would be nice. I know that a lot of people have been using the cube lamp, and there's a custom design floating around there that you can make it look like an ice cube. If I can find it, I'll put it up on screen right now, but that's not the same thing, and then that also means that I have to use a custom design slot that I don't have. I mean, don't get me wrong, Nintendo, I'm grateful for you for giving us all of the extra custom design slots in the 2.0 update, but it was nice in the days of New Leaf where we can make an extra character and they would have extra slots. I think that a lot of people might be making extra characters more often if that were the case, if we got extra design slots to use, but in this game they're shared across everybody on the same island. I did like the concept of having the frozen floor tiles in the front as a sort of entryway and dividing up the room, but then I didn't like how the ice floor looked underneath. I probably could have gone for the ski slope flooring that just looks like pure snow, but then it wouldn't have matched the ice wall. After some consideration and perusing through the catalog, I decided on the snowflake rug to be underneath the bed and add some sort of cushion between the floor and his little feet. And I ultimately end up settling on the yellow bamboo mat for in front of the clay oven and that fish tank with the rough rug in there at the entry. I wanted a little more contrast since everything looked very stark with the ice, and I also decided to change the lighting up. I know that the harsher white would have looked better, and it does make everything look a little bit more pristine, but I really am a sucker for a warmer white light. Finally, we are just changing up the positions of a couple of the wall items, duplicating the strand of starry string lights that's above the bed and placing the other one above the oven. And we are done. I keep forgetting that we have a handheld camera mode that came in the 2.0 update. You can also make it into a tripod and move your player into the frame, but I wanted to go around and take a look at the house from the height of the villager. I thought this was a really unique way of doing things, and I don't use the handheld mode that often. It really gives a perspective to how the house looks at this level. That is all I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed watching this, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!